So what's the view on psychedelics? Is that supposed to be like? Because my perception is just like you're just tripping, right? Obviously, some people's perception is like it's altering your senses. You know, there was that thing you and Michael talked about, and it's like your senses take in 2 million things of information, but you can only process 180.
Yeah.
Like, is the view within yoga with some people like it slows everything down, so you're starting to take in more things, and that's why everything starts looking different and stuff. Like,
are you kind of asking what's the yogic perspective on taking psychedelics?
Yeah. What's that?
Okay. Interestingly, there's it's stated in the tradition that at one point in time, using a certain concoction of natural ingredients that produced a psychedelic effect was used as a way to awaken Kundalini.
Okay.
So that is listed as part of like one of the paths of awakening Kundalini. However, the story goes that because humanity started to sort of misuse that,
right,
the knowledge about how to prepare those herbs was taken away.
Okay.
So, to answer your question, yoga probably would say this. Actually, I'm not going to speak for yoga. I'm going to speak for my teacher, particularly David. Because David is a profound yogi, and he impresses me with what he's capable of. And he got into yoga because of some experiences that he had as a young man growing up in the 60s.
With the hippie times,
with the hippie times, with psychedelics, and he said that they just expanded his mind so much that he could no longer believe in the construct of reality that was being presented to him by society.
Yeah.
But he also didn't want to have to rely on something else, and he sort of knew a little bit about yoga, and he knew some of the stories about it. So he went to India, he studied with Gitananda, and what he found is that you can actually produce those altered states of consciousness naturally.
So you can tap into that.
You can definitely tap into that. The only thing is it takes longer to get the experiences that refined, that kind of vivid.
So it's like cheating if you take drugs.
It's kind of like cheating.
Yeah.
It's kind of like cheating, and it's you don't integrate. I don't think you integrate the experiences as well as when you really work hard for them over years and years and years. You kind of own them a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you earn them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I assume it's got to be the natural psychedelics, right?
I mean,
because like LSD is synthetic, I think, right?
It's totally synthetic.
Yeah. So obviously that alters your state. Like I don't really know too much about psychedelics and stuff. Like obviously just from being here, people have talked to me a lot about them.
Yeah.
Like I know like LSD and stuff is obviously. It's funny because my dad was always like to me from when I was like 10, like never take LSD. It was like his one bit of advice. So I've always had like this really like don't go near it sort of thing. But speaking to people here, it's like if you take it in nature and it's in like the right environment and all that kind of stuff, like so I'm guessing like there's only certain things that are acceptable.
Well, I don't know if it's about acceptable. I think that some things are rougher on the system than others. Like if you have a synthetic drug, it's gonna wear on the system a little bit more than doing something like mushrooms or something like that. But I think in either case, for me, it's like I kind of put them in the same category.
Yeah.
I'm not. I think it's another way of achieving higher states of consciousness.
Yeah.
And shit, man, I've done my fair share of psychedelic drugs in my day, for sure.
But what's the opinion on like weed and cocaine and stuff like that? Because they're kind of natural. Obviously, they're giving you altered states, but it's not the same vibe.
Yeah. I don't know what the tradition says to that. I would imagine that they say something along the lines of, you don't need them because all of that power or all of that calmness.
Yeah.
You can access it internally. You just have to know which chemicals to release and how to release them.
So all that energy, you can like. So say if you take like a load of coke and you're buzzing and you're like moving around and stuff, you're able to access that energy in the same way.
I'm going to refer to David again.
Yeah.
David's mid-70s.
Yeah.
He, if he comes here or whenever I'm with him in Thailand or wherever, he is the one out dancing all of the people on drugs at the full moon parties or at the beach parties, and he all he does is he synchronizes his breath to the beat, and he just breathes and dances, and he outdances everyone. Like, this dude has got so much power, it is ridiculous.
Is that what he says the secret is, though? Just synchronizing your breath to the beat?
He says that the secret is prana. That if you dedicate yourself to absorbing enough prana through breath every day, that you no longer need to sleep like a regular person. You don't need to eat like a regular person. You're running on the power of prana. And I've seen him, and he stays at my house when he's here, and he goes to bed at 12.
Yeah.
He's up at 3 a.m, gazing at mandalas. 3 a.m.
Yeah. Does he not eat a lot either?
He doesn't eat a great deal. He doesn't not eat. He just doesn't care about food so much. It's not where he's getting. He'll do it for enjoyment or for social things.
But he's not sitting there getting really hungry.
He's definitely not sitting there getting hungry. No.
But does he get hungry, or and he just sort of phases the feeling, or is it like it's just a completely different realm?
I think it's a different realm. Like, I've never had the experience in all of my years of knowing him where I've heard him say, "I'm hungry."
How do you try and work towards that? Or is it something that just doesn't interest you?
No, if it seems to be something that is happening naturally, like if I'm just like, I don't want to eat, then I'll go with it and I'll explore it. But I'm certainly not going to impose upon myself some sort of non-eating rule.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I want everything to be as natural and as organic as possible.
Yeah. So what does the yogic tradition say about drinking alcohol?
Well, the yogic tradition says one thing and the tantric tradition says another.
Okay.
Tantra says that it's good to have desires and it's good to experience pleasure.
Okay.
But there is a line where just experiencing the taste of a beer or the taste of wine moves more towards grasping.
Abuse.
Yeah.
So
if you can enjoy alcohol and just really love a glass of whatever and really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Tantra is all about that.
Okay. It's just about don't get hammered.
It's just about don't get hammered.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Have you ever worked with drug addicts and stuff like that to sort of overcome addictions and things like that?
I haven't, but my fiance, she is a yoga teacher at a retreat center for addicts, and it's something that, or recovering addicts, and it's something that really interests me, but I haven't done it.
Yeah.
But I think that would be, I think yoga can be a huge tool in that area. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you something about the chakras as well, right?
I'll do my best. I can't promise anything.
It's just you see some people might have spine deformities or I met a dude once who didn't have a neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously the space isn't where the chakra would be, so how would that work?
Well, the chakras, they do have physiological connecting points within the physical body, but they don't belong to the physical body, so they're not necessarily limited by limitations of the flesh of the body.
What do you mean by that?
According to the yoga tradition, the chakras exist in this sort of second layer of our being, which is called the pranamaya kosha.
Yeah.
Even though there's different glands, there's different nerve ganglia or bundles along the spine and points within the body that correlate to these energetic centers, they don't actually belong to the physical world. So what your physical body is able to do or not able to do is not the be-all and end-all with what's going on with your chakras.
Okay.
So you can still access them mentally.
Alright, so they don't need to be physically attached to you.
Physically attached to you. They are going to have they are going to be related to your physical body. They're just not necessarily limited to what's happening with your physical body.
Yeah. Alright. And you know, like the 1 to the 9, and depending on your chakra, you've got like different personality traits and all this kind of
Different
stuff.
Different
superpowers. So like, who decided that?
We did. We decided that.
No, but who like said? But how did they come to the conclusion of what chakra equals what? Like, what's the origin? Where does it originate from? Is it the same place as star signs?
Is it the same? I mean, yes, it does have to do with astrology for sure.
All right.
But Vedic astrology is somehow more precise than Western astrology, according to the Vedic astrologers.
Right. They might be biased.
They might be a little bit biased.
Yeah.
But yes, this they're related to the 9 major planets
Of the solar system.
Yes.
But they say that Pluto isn't really like a planet.
I would need to research and see if Pluto is listed in the Vedic charts.
Okay, so the chakras are related to the planets in the solar system.
Man, it's all related to everything.
Oh, and there's 9 planets in the solar system.
It's a pretty cool system.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever's going on out there is also going on in here.
Right.
That's the deal.
Right. Okay.
So within the earth, the body of the earth,
So does the 3rd chakra relate to the earth?
Does the third chakra relate to the earth? I have no idea.
Like, is it like chakra 1's Mercury, chakra 2's Venus, chakra 3's Earth? Is it like that chronological order away from the sun? Or
I think you should do a study. I don't know, to be honest.
Right.
I'm more into the numbers than I am into the planets. But,
right.
I mean, for sure there's going to be some kind of correlation there.
Yeah.
Someone needs to do a study, Oscar. I think it should be you.
What, a study on what?
The correlation between the essences of the chakras and the qualities of the planets.
But where would I start with that? Because the chakras are like secret info. It's funny because I was trying to look up some of the stuff on the internet. It's just like, it's just not out there. Like any of the the personality traits of the numbers and all that kind of stuff. Like,
yeah, I mean there's bits and pieces everywhere, but you might have to go to the source. Like if you went to the place where David learnt about Yantra Yoga, which is a place in South India in Pondicherry called the Ananda Ashram.
Yeah.
They know about this sort of stuff, and I'm sure that a lot of other people do. They just don't have websites.
Have you been there?
I've been there. Yeah.
What's it like out there?
India's a weird place, man.
Yeah. Have you ever been like? Because when I was doing the training, there was a couple times and I was like, man, this is like kind of a lot for me to take in. Like, are you in situations like that when you go to these kind of places?
Not anymore.
Not, but you used to be, right?
I guess when I first started, on this path, but I had enough weird experiences when I was a kid to kind of like shatter my ideas about reality being reality.
Like the thing you said where you were breathing in it through your back or something.
Yeah, that was a little bit later, but I used to have these experiences when I was a kid where it was like my awareness and my consciousness would leave my body, and I could see my body, and I could also see other things that were in the room.
Yeah.
And I was super young, and it scared the absolute shit out of me, but it did give me the clear belief that I'm not my body.
Were you sleeping?
No.
Or would you just be chilling and?
It was this very interesting space between being awake and being asleep.
Okay.
But it was
like a meditative sort of state, like.
Yeah, it was a super strange state. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know what it was, but it was definitely in real time, because any time that I would do a real time reference check, like when it happened a few times when I was a little bit older, in my teens, and I was at my girlfriend's house.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, it's happening. I'm going to go downstairs and see if her roommates are still playing video games.
So it was like it was like a period of time where you could like fully recognize it and you could control what you were doing.
I got better at controlling what I could do, but it took a decade for me to first stop being scared.
Yeah.
That was like a 3-year project of just not being terrified.
Yeah.
And then slowly developing the ability to move my consciousness around and not feel limited by physical structures like doors.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Do you think everyone's like? Do you think you're just more like gifted? With not gifted, but do you think you've just got a higher like sense of that to other people, or do you think everyone's got that? Like,
man, I think everyone's got it. I really believe that we all have the same. Ultimately, we have the same capacities, but I think different people, you know, depending on these sort of chakra arrangements, I think we have different doorways in. Like for me, like just the dominant energy for me, according to Yantra Yoga, is my 6th chakra. So it's much more cerebral. It's about seeing things.
like visionary.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Alright. Like someone told me this thing once is to do with spirits, right? Because like my uncle died a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
And like when he died, I like took loads of his stuff and put it into my flat and all this, and like weird like experiences started happening, and it was all to do with like electrics and water.
Yeah, interesting.
Is that like and someone said to me, they were like, yeah, I can't remember who said it, but they were like, spirits find it easy to communicate through water and electrics. Is that like a thing you've heard of?
I haven't, but I guess intuitively that kind of makes sense. Like they need a medium through which to work, and that would seem sort of like the most sort of viable way to communicate, I guess.
They could just appear as a spirit and communicate, no? Or
maybe you need a lot of power or something to do that, or I don't know. I'm not sure.
And like you see, once we die, is the yogic theory that we go into another body or life or animal.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do we choose that?
We do unless we can't.
So what if you? Is it like a karma thing? So if you've been bad, you don't get to choose.
I don't know if it's necessarily a karma thing. I think it's how much connection do you have to your consciousness and how much control do you have over your mind. So and you know, the Tibetans have a whole practice around this, and that's what's written in the Tibetan book of Living and Dying, I think it's called, or
right.
Tibetan Book of the Dead, or something like that. But it's about really using this life to master this meditative sort of zone that we get into, like the yoga nidra like zone, where we can sort of master our control over consciousness, so that when we do leave our body, we don't necessarily get sucked, you know, into some karmic situation based on, I don't know, fears that come up after we die or whatever state we're in, but we can actually keep ourselves calm and consciously move ourselves to our next destination.
You know, like people who die and they come back into their body. Like there's like experiments where like I know that they've done, because my dad's really into it, right? It's like people die for a few minutes and the surgeons or whoever's in the room will do certain things. Yeah. People can remember it and stuff, right?
Absolutely.
So what's like people leaving their body then coming back? Is it just like their time isn't right?
Time isn't right. What? Clearly, I would say it isn't right.
So, because with the chakras, your life's supposed to be mapped out to an extent, yeah? Mm-hmm. Like, is that like 100%, or is it like you've got leeway over some things?
You know what? I think the idea is that eventually we move beyond all influences. I think that's the goal. We move beyond planetary influences, we move beyond karmic influences, we move beyond chakra influences.
Is it just like another dimension?
Well, I think that's what enlightenment is, when we sort of stop being pulled around by the gunas in their different expressions.
Yeah, like, because in Yogananda's book, I can't remember who he's talking to, it's one of his gurus, and they're talking about the astral travel or something like that, and like I found it really confusing. it's like it's like a kind of heaven. Do you know the bit that I'm talking about?
I can't remember. It's been a while since I read it.
Yeah. Yeah, I found that quite a lot to get around.
I mean, the yogis speak about different planes of existence.
Yeah.
That we can, if we do master that ability to move our consciousness outside of our body, then we can, visit these different planes almost like we're visiting different countries. And some of them are heavenly realms, where all of the masters are hanging out.
Right.
And some of them are, lower planes where you've got, more spirits and stuff like that.
What, like evil?
Yeah, just darker entities and, people that are, stuck in dark thoughts, dark patterns. And
so what would be like the point of going to like the heavenly dimension?
Be the point?
Yeah.
Of going to the heavenly dimension. Hang out with some cool people, I guess.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about who you know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think they're all just stages just to get back to whatever it is that's at the end of the journey, this ultimate source of light.
Like what's supposed to be at the end of the journey?
Oh, who knows?
What's the yogic theory? Like the enlightenment?
Man, I don't know if anyone can really talk about that. I don't know if it's they just speak about it as reabsorption back into the source.
Yeah.
However you view that.
Have you ever thought like, because sometimes I think it's just a bit like people want something to grasp onto, and there's life after this. Sometimes I'm really open to the idea, and then sometimes I just think once you're dead, like you're in the ground, like that's the end of it. Like, have you? Was there a time when you like thought like that, or can you relate to that, or like?
I definitely can, but as I was saying about the things that happened when I was a kid, if I hadn't have had those experiences, I would be less sure that there's life after the body. Yeah. But because of those things that happened, it changed a thing in my brain that, it now believes that, hey, this body is not the end. There's something that I am that goes on beyond this body, and it still feels like me. Yeah. So there was that, and then after my mum died, I had an experience where I really felt the presence of my mum. Like I really felt her, and I heard her voice, and she gave me guidance. Yeah. And that was the thing that really sealed the deal. Like,
like I said, like with the thing when my uncle died. Like, It was like there was a night when I was drunk in my flat, and it was like soon after. Yeah. And like I was like saying, if you still exist, or if there's a spirit, can you give me some signs? And soon after that, like all these weird, trippy things started happening, and it's definitely like I could feel something. Yeah. I really didn't like it, like. Yeah. But it's sometimes I don't know if it's just like your mind overpowering your consciousness and kind of tricking you. Do you know? Does that make sense? Like, I know. What would be the risk? Like, why wouldn't you just try on the belief and just see what happens? Like as an experiment. But how would you go about that? Like, how would you go about it? Well, I think it's just an internal shift. Like you just try on the lens of, and just be open to spiritual stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like loads of weird stuff happens in like the house that my dad lives in. Like his mum died in the house, right? And it's like loads of weird stuff has happened in there. But do you think it's better to go to a place where you think those sort of things happen, like a place that's, because obviously there's probably some places which are more spiritual and some places which aren't. So do you think like setting an intention would be better to do it in a more spiritual place, like? Maybe. I
I mean, if you go to a graveyard and start invoking spirits, it's going to be freaky as fuck. If you go to a temple and start asking for experiences in a temple, you're probably going to get some very profound and beautiful experiences.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Well, because you know, like the black magic thing, I've often thought about just doing something like that to see if it affects me. But like,
doing something like what?
I don't know, like, I don't really know the full details of it, but people have spoken to me about like books, and you do like, if you're in your house by yourself and do the stuff with the book, weird shit will happen, like that kind of stuff, like, or would you advise that's a really bad idea?
Well, bad, good. I think it will produce certain results.
Okay. It just depends on your perception of the result.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you want to be summoning dark spirits. That's not something I want to. I had my fair share of those when I was a kid. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I was having these experiences, I had some really traumatic experiences of feeling like physically attacked by not benevolent entities.
Did you feel like physical pain? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that's not a good idea. Did you ever have like a physical, what's the word I'm looking for? Sign that something bad had happened?
Physical sign.
So like you say, like you got attacked, like I don't know, you woke up and those cuts on you or something. Like
no, I never had anything like that. It was more like choking.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
And sort of just being pushed against like a wall or the end of the bed, or but really violent.
Yeah.
It was really it really scared the shit out of me. So yeah, but I couldn't stop it from happening, so eventually I just had to make the decision that I wouldn't be afraid anymore. And as soon as I made that decision that I would just show up and not be afraid, that's when all of the negative energy started to dissipate, and I ended up having really beautiful experiences.
That's kind of trippy.
It is kind of trippy, yeah. It definitely is. It's like it was my own fear that was allowing this, these experiences to happen.
So do you think maybe it could have been your own mind though?
I think my mind is what the mind attracts whatever it is, whatever vibration the mind is at.
Yeah.
Those are the doors that get opened. So I think I was just in a fearful place, and so I attracted entities that would allow me to experience that.
How old were you?
I think I was like 12.
So you weren't making like conscious decisions for negative things to happen. Like,
No.
They just come out of the blue.
Out of the blue. I'd get really dizzy during the day. It wouldn't happen every day, maybe twice a week or something. I'd get really dizzy.
That's quite a lot though, twice a week.
It was and it was fucking exhausting. Like the next day I'd be finished.
What's David think that's about?
Yeah.
Is it like maybe like you're chosen for spirits to like express themselves through?
I don't think so. I think there was just some sort of just disconnect between body and mind, and for whatever reason my mind and body would just separate, or my consciousness and my physical self would just separate. And I actually think that it was I don't know if this is true, but we had this freezer, like this this fridge and this freezer outside of my bedroom,
right,
in the hallway, and it would buzz at this really specific frequency, and I kind of half think that it was the frequency of the fridge
calling spirits to you or something.
I think that it kind of put me into a trance or something. I don't know, just like the specific frequency of the fridge. Sounds bizarre, but I'd always be listening to the fridge, and then I'd just start to hear this vibration or this high-pitched ringing sound, and then that's when shit would start to happen.
What about anyone else in the family though? Was it just you?
Just me. But this sort of stuff happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's very crazy, man.
Yeah. it's funny because like I was thinking of like the because it's like the only thing that's ever happened to me with that kind of stuff is like the not moving thing. Like is there a terminology for that?
There is. I'm not sure what it is, but I know what you mean.
And like when I could like hear the weird noises in the corner, but it's like, so would the yogic tradition say that's more something happening rather than you just dreaming?
That's something happening.
Yeah.
You're hovering in this in-between space.
Yeah.
So from there, if you had really, really strong willpower and conscious control, from that point you'd be able to move your consciousness out of your body and then direct it around.
But what would like the weird? It was funny because it's like I kind of remember it wasn't. It's like it was like a noise, but it wasn't an audio noise.
No, it's not.
Do you know what I mean? It was like yeah. So what is that like? Is that like
that is just one of those other planes of reality?
The dimension.
Yeah.
Right? And so would whatever that is be aware that they're tapping into you, or do they not know? So on our side, we can't really see what's going on.
Yeah, I would say they're aware.
Yeah.
In my experiences, they were very aware.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Did you ever like ask like why are you doing that? Or
no, I was like too terrified. I was just trying to escape these experiences more than anything. The only piece of communication that I ever had in this whole thing was right at the end of it all, and it was that time where I said I came down the stairs I was in my girlfriend's house, and I moved past these two guys that were still on the couch.
So what happened there? Like you're at your girlfriend's.
Yeah, and I remember it started to happen.
Yeah.
And the sound came, the paralysis came, and then I moved myself out of my body. I rolled over the top of my body, saw Sally, was standing in front of the door on the inside of her bedroom, and I remember thinking, all right, I want to open the door. And the next thing I realized I was
So it's like you would just move through solids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the experience of actually moving through them. It was just 1 minute I was there, and the next minute I was there.
Yeah.
And then I went down the steps because I wanted to see what they were doing, and they were still playing the.
Could you like see yourself, or was it just like a view?
It was just a view.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I remember walking past them. I came to the front door. I did the same thing. I want to get through the door. I was through the door. I looked up at the night sky, and then it was like my consciousness just got carried upwards. And the next piece was I was back on the street where I grew up as a kid, and it was really bizarre. But I was having a telepathic communication with an infant who may or may not have been my infant self. I have no idea. And that infant communicated to me and said, the reason that all of this has been happening, all of these years, is so that you can have the experience and you can know that you are not your body. And after that, nothing like that ever happened again, ever.
But you see, while that was happening, so were you in the room with your girlfriend?
My body was in the room.
So what was your body doing while that was happening?
I guess it was just laying there inert.
Sleeping, or...
I have no idea. I guess so. I guess it was just lying down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, like, drinking and all this kind of stuff, does it, like, affect you being able to have these experiences? Like...
Some people say it can actually cause them.
What, drinking?
I've spoken to a lot of different people about this because it's, obviously something that I'm really interested in. And it's some people's opinion that when there is, when the body is polluted, and the spirit, the soul doesn't want to be in there anymore, it's almost like, when we fall asleep, then that's almost like free time for the soul. It doesn't have to be so confined to the body. But in some cases, if the spirit is like, it's almost like if it's too high vibration for what's happening in that body, then the body will, or the soul or the spirit will leave it even before sleep gets there. And so that can be that can sometimes be the thing that happens. It's like the soul's just like, fuck this, I'm out of here. I don't want to, hang out anymore in this body today. Not enough. So that is that's one opinion that I've heard.
Yeah.
But I also think it can happen with just people that are open. For me, I think when I was a kid, it was because I was open. But then I started to have experiences again a little bit later in life, and I think it was because of the second reason, because I was, toxifying myself in different ways.
Is this before you went away to study? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it just was those choices were creating too low a vibration for my soul to appreciate. That's my gut feeling on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've drunk quite a lot. I don't think I've ever had an out-of-body experience. Like, but is it like...
Sounds like you're on the cusp.
I don't know. It's like, I really want these things to happen. But it's like to try and... I feel like it will give me a bit more faith in everything. Like, I feel like it'll... Like, even the stuff that I said with, like, weird stuff happening in my flat with my uncle, it's like, if you really break it down, it could just be mad coincidences. It could be, but it's like, if I physically really experience something, I think I'll be like what you're describing, like an out-of-body experience. Like, even with the things where it's like I couldn't move and I could hear things, it was like, my assumption is that I'm still half in my dream, but I'm not in my dream, and it's kind of like half a nightmare. So it's like, I would love some like mad trippy stuff like that to happen. Just to like have an experience of it. But it's like, I kind of feel like maybe because I'm not open to it, I would stop myself or something like that. Like, how would you like advise someone to go down that route?
I would probably advise Yoga Nidra.
Yeah.
I would advise Yoga Nidra, and I would work with a Sankalpa.
Yeah.
That would be something like, I will be more open and receptive to spiritual experiences, or however you want to term those experiences, and I just do Yoga Nidra 3 times a week, and I'd work with the same Sankalpa.
Yeah. Do you think doing the one that's on like Sarah put on the Facebook, or like that's on the SoundCloud of the practice is cool?
Yeah, any of those ones, and you set the Sankalpa like early, like before you even start the 61 points.
Yeah.
And then when you've got to the point where you're starting to work with positively infused, imagery, like the energy moving into the spine, or the golden orb, or whatever it is, once you've completed that part, then you drop the Sankalpa in again, because the mind is so ready and receptive and in such a positive state that it will take that suggestion and integrate it very, very quickly. So if I wanted to learn or do anything really quickly, I'd use Yoga Nidra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something else. What was I just going to say? I was talking to Kelly and Parker about something, but it's left my mind now. It will come back to me. Do you think like doing like other forms of yoga is gonna have a negative effect on that kind of stuff?
Other kinds of yoga.
It's like hot power, like vinyasa.
Man, my opinion is that yes, everything has an effect.
Yeah.
Like everything we do has an effect. So if we are doing practices that disturb or that disperse or disturb or mix up prana in an unscientific way, of course it's going to have an effect on the mind, and it's going to decrease our ability to get really, really tuned into the subtle, because the mind has to be really, really clear for that, if you want to do it intentionally. Okay. Sometimes it happens accidentally. Like shit always happens just like, you know, like it did for me when I was a kid. I wasn't doing any spiritual practice when I was a kid. It just happened. Sometimes shit happens.
So some people must just be naturally more open to it. Like, I think their soul must be more like.
I think definitely people come in with different sort of levels of openness. Based on past life experiences, and you know, whether they've been doing shitloads of practice in past lives or whatever they've been doing in past lives. I think a part of that comes through into this one.
What I was speaking to Park and Kelly about is like, you know, when you're doing visualizations, like today you were talking about the energy going down the chakras and stuff like that. Does it matter how you visualize it?
No, it doesn't.
Like if the world's different to how we perceive it,
which is science.
So what it's like? Why isn't it like a more broad? Why isn't it like a more expressed thing throughout the world? Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, I think throughout the world, like, you know, more indigenous cultures really that is what they base their culture on. Like the Aboriginals of Australia, their dream time, what they talk about as their sort of their dreaming. That's as real to them as this world. They're just talking about another dimension.
So they think that when they dream, it's just okay. They think it's another dimension when they dream.
Yeah, dream time isn't necessarily something that is associated with the act of dreaming. Dream time is another state of reality, another state of consciousness. And I mean, tons of native traditions have that. It's just our culture is.
So it's funny how it's like. But it's like, why would it come? Why would our culture sort of move away from that? Like,
it's a great question.
Do you reckon it's like a conspiracy or something? Like,
I don't know, man. I mean, I think maybe. I actually think that a lot of the people who are actually in power know that there's a lot more going on than what they want regular people to know about themselves or about the world or the universe or whatever. I would be really surprised if the people at the very, very top didn't know about
this
some
kind
of
of shit,
some of this stuff.
But it's funny because it's like I feel like everyone knows, but at the same time they don't know.
I think everyone knows at the deep level.
But
I think people also don't want to be judged. Don't want to sort of be like the weirdo or whatever. It's just easier, better just to play it safe and just kind of toe the line and all that.
Because there's like, do you know what jinns are in like the Islamic tradition?
What are they?
They're like spirits.
Spirits, right?
But there's like a thing where it's like, I don't know the exact details, but loads of my friends are Muslims, right? And it's like, if you spill boiling water on the floor, they don't like it in case you spill it on the jinn in like another dimension. Like,
wow.
something crazy like that, right? So it's like, I think it's like there's some sort of superstitious act around it. But
man, I'm all about it. I think there's a lot more going on than what we can usually see.
So what's the deal with aliens related to this?
Here we go. It was only a matter of time. It was only a matter of time.
Like, aliens were like my favourite thing when I was a kid. Like when I was like 8, and I found out what Area 51 was. I was like to like a load of my pals, right? Like when we grow up, we need to like buy loads of guns and like vans and that and just ram it down and like see what's in there. So it's like I've been like obsessed with it for ages. Like,
I'm going to tell you something that might freak you out a little bit.
Okay.
You know that experience that you were telling him about where you would go into paralysis?
Yeah.
So most alien abductees say that is something that happens to them.
Okay. At the beginning of it.
Yes.
And but most alien abductees remember it, right?
Not always.
No?
No.
Oh, my flat's pretty secure.
They don't need doors and walls and shit, man. They got some other kind of technology going on.
That's it, yeah. But is it... Yeah, the alien thing, I like, there's this... I don't know if you've heard about this, but one of my dad's ex-girlfriends was really into aliens. Like, she's been on, like, radios and stuff talking about abductions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when I was, like, 10... She like something like she knew like a general in the army, and like he gave her these secret documents or some shit like that, and it was about like these lizard people that lived in the core of the earth.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's like, but that same thing came on that Ancient Aliens show like 12 years ago. Like some sort. Have you ever heard anything about that?
I haven't.
No. But okay. But is the act of yoga related to? Is yoga and aliens? Is it a related thing?
I think it's very related.
But in the tradition, is it?
Yes. I mean, beings from other dimensions bringing technology and bringing mind technology and in terms of information and practices, the stories are that these practices come from people from another place. Whether you think of that as another dimension or another planet, it's the same thing.
Yeah, or even like heaven and hell. It's kind of the same thing, right?
Sure. Yeah.
That's interesting about the paralysis thing, because like when it was there was a period of time, I can't remember how long the period of time was, but it was happening to me like 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't really happen anymore.
Yeah.
Like
the aliens are done with you.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
They've used me. But it's like, But I always felt like I would wake up and I was in paralysis, but it's like it would take a lot of mental energy, but I could get out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
For some people I talk to, like they can't get out of it.
Yeah. I think it's a mind power thing.
Yeah.
If you want to shake it off, you can.
Yeah. So, the crop circles thing, I'm gonna have to check some of those out when I go back to the UK as well.
They're amazing.
So, you went to UK just to visit some of them?
I was visiting people and crop circles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think they're related to yoga?
I think that geometry, in that regard, yes. I think that every geometry, every shape has a vibration to it.
Yeah.
You know, this is what the yogis say, that it's two sides of the same coin, sound and geometry.
Yeah.
And that is at the heart of reality. So when you have these geometric images getting planted onto the earth, for sure, it's like a frequency boost. It's like a...
What was that thing you showed us, like the frequencies, and then there's like the powder on the table and it moves into the shapes?
Yeah, it's called cymatics.
Cymatics.
Yeah, cymatics, the study of frequency on matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, the effect of frequency on matter.
Yeah, just so I can show people.
Yeah.
That was pretty interesting.
It's very cool.
I saw this thing as well. It was like when I was reading about the 369 thing.
Yeah.
I should have brought a picture of it. But it was like, this guy had like done all the timetables and then done all this mad stuff, and then he color coded the numbers, and it like made this. It was like all the 9s and the 3s made like a grid, and then all the other colors were like inside them. Like it was it was quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, so do people ever think that like Shivas, you see Shiva and Shakti? Do people in the tradition believe that they were real beings?
Yeah, absolutely.
So do people believe that maybe they were aliens?
Yeah.
Is that what you think?
I believe that all of the gods that they speak about are just from they're beings on a higher plane of reality. Whether those planes have their own planets, that I've got no idea. But in terms of the gods beings. Yeah, I fully believe that.
Yeah. I can't remember what it was, but there was something you were saying, like, it was related to yoga, and it was like, that's how we know we couldn't have had technology a few thousand years ago or something.
What was that?
I can't remember what it was. But I can't remember what it was. I wanted to raise the point at the time, because, like, some people, like, theorize, like, the ancient Egyptians and all that had, like, the same technology that we did, but it just all got kind of wiped out.
I think they had technology that was beyond what we had. Yeah.
Like with the pyramids and stuff.
Yeah.
So do you reckon that's like them having more technology, or like other gods coming and helping them?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a combination of both. Like, I'm super curious about this whole Atlantis story.
What, the city underwater?
Yeah, I feel like that's the key piece of so many of these traditions and lineages that then got separated into different cultures. I feel like they all get sourced back to this one mega hub.
Why do you think that, right?
I just think there's it's almost like there's too much similarities in the different cultures' experiences of spirituality.
Yeah.
And their practices as well. Like, if you just go back far enough, it seems like they're coming from the one source.
Okay. And you think the source would be Atlantis?
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like loads of what was that thing you showed us? It was like that city buried underground or something.
Yeah. I mean, that was it's a place called Dundera, which is out near modern day Pakistan. They call it the Indus Valley Civilization, and it's dated scientifically as being between 7,000 and 10,000 years old. So it just completely blows our Western model of history out of the water.
Yeah.
But I mean, this culture, they had irrigation, they had agriculture, education. They were doing advanced yogic practices. This is where Sanskrit shows up. This is where Ayurveda shows up, and Tantra shows up for the first time. It's like 7,000 to 10,000 years old. It's crazy.
I watched this thing. It was also on that Ancient Aliens thing. It might have been that city, but it was like a city underground and stuff. And there was like, when there's a nuclear bomb, right? People's shadow is like scarred on the ground. So it's like, but they had that same thing in this city underground, and there was like really high levels of nuclear readings, like when they walked around it. So it's like, what it was like going towards is like, there was a nuclear bomb dropped like 5,000 years ago or something like that, which I thought was kind of trippy.
Yeah, I mean, in the Vedas, they talk about beings in flying machines hurling down thunderbolts at the earth.
Yeah. So the theory with that is like they didn't have the words in the dictionary to express what it really would have been, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, the Vedas is full of stories which you could really simply, sort of interpret as these sort of cataclysmic events from beings from advanced civilizations or whatever.
Yeah. One last thing.
Yeah.
Like, I went and saw this. Does acupuncture fall under the same category as like Ayurveda and yoga and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean,
it's more Chinese medicine, right?
Yeah, it's more Chinese medicine. But I mean, it's still working with the same ideas that there are energy lines within the body.
Because I went and saw this acupuncture dude, right? And I couldn't sleep at the time. Like, I had trouble sleeping for years. Like, it's fine now. Like,
yeah.
But he said like my feet were really hot and like the heat wasn't escaping my head properly, or some mad shit. Like my feet were always really hot, right? And but he said something to. It was funny because I didn't really. This is way before yoga. I think I was like 20, like, and he was like, yeah, this. He was talking to me about how the world's not really real and how it's not how you really take it. And he gave this weird description to me, and it was just like how the world's. A couple times it's happened to him where he's walking around and like the world's just sort of collapsing in on him, and he's completely sober.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I just thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, like a glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah, like
I have glitches in the Matrix as well, where I'm like, I caught you.
Yeah.
Like, I've got this one where the universe almost doesn't think that I'm paying attention to the little details, but I'm always paying attention to the little details. So I have this character, like this. It's like this man, and I know his face so well.
Yeah.
Because I've spent so many years in India, Thailand, Bali, Vietnam. You know, there's a kind of face that could almost be in all of those cultures.
Right.
Just like a standard face.
A stereotypical one, sort of thing, yeah.
But I see the same face,
right.
the same guy playing different roles. In this country, he's a farmer. In this one, he's a chai shop owner. In this one, he's driving a taxi. But it's always the same face, and it's never an important role. It's just like someone going past.
That's just giving me the shivers.
Yeah, man. I'm like, I know
Have you
you're
ever tried-
using
have you
the
ever-
same...
Have you ever tried to chase him or anything?
I haven't. Someone said that to me last time I said it. They said, you got to stop that guy. And so next time I see him, I'm going to stop him. I did see him about 2 years ago in Bali. Just I think he was riding past me on a scooter. And I was like, wow.
Does he like look at you and that? Like,
No, he's really like nonchalant. It's just like, you know, the universe is using the same sort of background program.
but do you ever think it's like maybe your mind's just tricking you rather than it being a glitch in the Matrix?
I don't know. I think my mind is the Matrix. I think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I can distinguish between one or the other. Like the mind makes the Matrix. So I don't know.
That's pretty. Yeah. Yeah, that just gave me like the shivers. Shit like that's really creepy.
But it's kind of cool as well, right? Like it's kind of cool when you kind of lose a handle on reality for a little while.
Yeah. And you know when you were talking about the saint who doesn't get touched and like the animals were walking, like didn't anyone just try and run up on him and touch him?
You wouldn't. No one would do that in India.
Is it just not one of them things?
No.
Yeah.
People are way too respectful of holy people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because they believe in karma and all of that sort of stuff, you kind of... Yeah.
And what's people's view in India on like magic?
Magic is a huge part of the culture. Huge.
Yeah. But is it viewed as like reality, or is it viewed as like people tricking?
No, it's viewed as, you know, people have supernatural powers and they use them for either good or bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, without even a question.
Yeah. So then what's Western magic compared to that? Is it just a completely different thing? Do they like not fall under the same category? Like,
do you mean like
I've got a mate who's a magician, right?
Okay.
Like, so like, is that?
No, it's completely different. That's more sort of like showmanship.
Yeah,
No, like the magic that comes from India is a product of mastering energy rather than mastering props.
Have you ever seen any magic?
Have I seen any magic? I'll have to think about it. When I was a younger man and I was interested in things like Reiki and all that sort of stuff.
What's Reiki?
It's like a healing modality where you use your hands.
Okay.
I had a teacher over there, and as her final sort of gift to me, because I was with her for quite a long time, she was very close with Osho, an really old woman. And as a parting gift to me, she gave me this little pot of ash.
Right.
And she told me that ash was from a fire that had been started by in a meeting that she was allowed to attend, where saints were called from all over India, and they were doing some sort of fire mantra, and they started the fire from the mantra. And she says that she was able to take some of the ash from that fire, so she gave me some of that ash. So I didn't see the
Oh, okay.
You know, but I felt like, you know, she was being completely genuine.
Yeah.
But I've seen enough shit in. I don't know if I'd call it magic, but I've seen enough stuff in my life that has convinced me of an additional level of reality than just this one.
Yeah. I've had some situations in life. I've been like, fuck, I was lucky there for it to not be really bad. Like, yeah. Is that like, is luck a thing is there such a thing as luck in like the yogic tradition, or is it all like part of the life cycle?
Yeah, they don't believe in luck.
There's not,
No.
So it's like part of your
Design.
dharma?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of your agreement, part of your...
And then when you're not... And that goes back to like the sledgehammer analogy.
Yeah, exactly.
So then
when you're not getting the message, life has to be a little bit more firm.
Yeah, it's funny. That's a really spot on analogy, I reckon. Because I feel like whenever negative things are happening, you never really get like just the all out bad thing just coming and just swooping you. It's almost like, I feel like you always get a little warning, then another one comes, then another one comes, and then it's definitely like, all right, well, you just need to get it. Like,
you're not getting it, dude. So here you go.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Was there one more question that you asked me when we were just leaving that room? I don't remember what it was, but you asked it, and then I heard the knock on the door. I don't think it was about aliens.
The visualizations. I think it was like...
You asked... Yeah, okay,
that's
good.
it. You know when... That's it, the chakra energies.
Yeah.
You know when you're like visualize the energies, right?
Yeah.
Like, I always ask myself, like, how should I visualize something?
It doesn't
Does
matter.
it not matter? Okay.
Let me say something to that. And this is really, really important. When we're doing that sort of work with the chakras or with all of that sort of stuff that exists to the subtle plane, we're not actually trying to visualize anything.
Okay.
What the yogis say we're trying to do is create enough prana in the body and in the brain so that these things, based really just on our openness and our intention to see them, will slowly start to reveal themselves. So is there a little prod from our visualization capacity? Okay. Yes, there's a little prod. But really it's about be as receptive and open as you can, and if your brain has enough prana in it, then you will just start to see things, and you may not see them in the way that you think you would.
Okay.
You might see them as a feeling. You might see them from inside of the mandala.
So be open to the energy.
Be totally open to everything.
Yeah.
You might see them drawn on a piece of paper.
Okay. But you see when it's not the chakras, so we talked a lot about visualizations, like with Carl and stuff like that as well. Yeah. Is there like methods to visualize? Like, do you need to be like really... So you said that you manifested this, right?
Yeah.
So did you have really specific things that you visualized? Or was it just like the feeling?
For me, it was the knowing.
The knowing?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like, I know this has to happen. And then I'm really just open to my gut.
Yeah.
Having conversations with people, does that feel like the fuck yeah?
Yeah.
So it wasn't so much like an internal visualization. It was purely just gut instincts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So follow your gut.
Follow your gut.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Alright, cool.
Go on.
I think I'm questioned out right
now. Oh wow, I never thought it possible, man.
Like, you know the thing about sweating as well, right?
I love it. You're just like into the next question.
Yeah, like, so do you view saunas as like really bad, for example?
No. It really depends on our intention for sweating. Like, if you want to use sweating is a way to detox.
That's what I was gonna go. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, it's not that it's not valid, but if what you want is to, like I just said, keep more prana inside of your body, then when you sweat, you're going to lose that prana.
But I guess if, say, you've been out drinking, and you go to a sauna to sweat it out, you're sweating out bad prana? Is that
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. You're sweating out free radicals basically.
So if you're in a really good mental space, do you reckon you should try and avoid sweating to try and hold that positive energy within you, or is it not really like that?
When I said that, it's really pertaining more just to when we're practicing yoga.
Okay.
When we're practicing yoga, then we want to be, liberating these electrons through friction, like the electrons within the atom or around the atoms of the body. So we create some heat, we do some practice, we do some breathing, we do some mantra, we generate friction, liberate energy, and then so that we can see more and experience more internally, we want to keep that energy inwards.
Yeah.
If we're sweating in our yoga practice, then that energy starts to move outwards.
Cool. So, like, when I go back home, I might practice like one hot class a week maybe, right? But I'm going to focus on my self-practice. But I'm still going to teach hot classes, right?
Yeah.
In the hot classes, I still sweat buckets.
But that's not your spiritual practice.
Okay, cool. All right. That makes me feel way better now. I was thinking, like, how am I going to get around that bit? Like, all right, cool. So just when you're practicing and you're trying to send that energy, you're trying to focus that energy, that's when you really want to sort of hold everything in.
Exactly.
All right. And like, like negative energy. What's it? Oh shit. Like negative energies and stuff.
I do.
Do you wanna? Do energies stay in a place? So let's say.
Yes, negative. Yes, both positive and negative energies will stay in a place.
So if something negative is happening, but you're not there at the time, but you go there the next day, the energy's still going to be there.
It can be. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of places in India where yoga practitioners will go and do practice there because they know that place, because of the amount of people that have done spiritual practice there, holds a vibration that is very conducive to spiritual practice. So yeah, places hold energy, absolutely.
So do you think it's better to go and practice in somewhere where there's good energy then? But not necessarily spiritual good energy, just positive vibes.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. I think it's more conducive, absolutely.
And someone once said to me, they were like, having loads of people, I think I might have even asked you this during the training, but having loads of people over all the time is not good, because it's like bringing loads of different energies in. Yeah, I did, because I think I asked you the analogy of like the murky water thing.
Yeah.
So is that kind of true? Like, do you want to be mindful of like anyone you let into your house, sort of thing?
I would be very, very mindful of people I invited into my house.
Yeah,
for sure.
In case they're bringing a negative energy, like
absolutely.
Yeah,
for sure. But not even just into the house. I don't want to hang out with people that are, really negative people.
Yeah.
That's just something I would choose not to do.
Do you not hang out with any negative people anymore? Like,
I don't. No, if I feel like someone is just, really bad vibes or whatever, I don't care if I've known them for 20 years.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I'm quite negative. What's like your tips on trying to break that? Like,
oh man, my impression is that you're not a negative person.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry about that. I would just concentrate on doing practice.
Yeah, for sure.
And that'll just sort you out.
Yeah. Alright, cool. No, I think that was all the questions. Yeah, for sure.
I'll give it 5 seconds and see when another one pops up.
There was one more, but it's it's a bit out there. I wasn't even going to ask it, but like Siamese twins, right?
Wow.
So they share a spine.
Interesting, yeah.
So do they share everything?
That's a really great question. Siamese twins. How many chakras do they have?
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
And also
that's
from
a great
that
question.
okay, so you know, like twins, right? So a lot of twins. Well, I've only met a few in my life, but they're usually really different. Well, sometimes,
yeah.
But I knew two twins. They were really good friends with me. Completely different ends of the spectrum, right? But you know, it's like they're born at the same time, the same day, same year, same place, everything. Yeah. So with the chakra energies, shouldn't they be like similar?
Not necessarily, because they're not taking into account past lives.
Yeah.
You know, just because they're born in this life as twins, you might have one soul that's just sort of one spirit or energy that's just moved itself up from the animal kingdom, and another one that's moved itself down from the demigod region or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're going to be very different people, even if they're born on the same day.
And you know, like, does where you're born have an effect on these things?
Where you're born, it does. I don't know enough about this stuff to understand where, but yes, it definitely does matter how you are positioned geographically under the stars and under the sun when you're born.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because I was gonna ask, like, you know, like the world, it used to, like, I don't know if it's proven or not, but it used to just be one piece of land rather than everything split up, right?
Yeah.
So would that have meant, like, people would have been, like, the land would have been in different places that's not really accessible? Like, people would have been born in places that they don't get born anymore because of the land structure. So does that mean the energies would be, like, a bit different? More unique to how they are now? Like,